And welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Oh, whoa, I'm really off there for a minute. Welcome to another episode of the Geek Centurions. It's me, your boy Eli.
It's me, Joe.
Hey, it's Daniel.
Yeah, good to have you back, Daniel. And
Hey, what's up?
so as you guys know, we are big fighting game fans. We are all excited for whatever fighting game coming out, especially like what is in something next week. Guilty Gear Strive.
Yeah, it should be next week
But
as the time of recording.
oh
Yes.
yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be here Tuesday if you get the Ultimate Edition,
Oh yeah, I did. I make sure of that.
like I
And
did.
we made sure. I was like, okay, we gotta get the soundtrack. I've only heard like two songs from it, but I'm like, let's go. And I know they just released like snippets of each one. I'm like, I'm really feeling Kai's theme though. I
Dude,
thought it
like
was like
people are going crazy for May's theme, man.
it is catchy. I'll admit to that. It is catchy. But
Yeah.
since the release of Guilty Gear Strive, there's been a lot of talks about it. Um, I'm just gonna let you guys know this is not gonna be a Guilty Gear Strive talk. This is gonna be a really just in-depth talk about fighting games. But the reason I bring up Guilty Gear Strive is because recently a lot of people have been talking to that maybe the game has been simplified too much, and that got me to think that hey, are fighting games just hard for people to get into? And of course, there's a lot of factors that we can go into where like just aren't people's taste, and I totally get that. I've known people who look at fighting games and I'm like, that's cool. I don't think I can do any of those combos. And then there's stuff like the skill gap. What kind of fighting game one could have. Like Daniel, before recording, Daniel was telling me about so games like Tekken, the anime fighting games, arena fighters, all that kind of stuff we're going to be talking about today. But essentially, we're going to be going to talk about like different aspects of why fighting games are hard to get into, and maybe talk about ways that people can get into fighting games because like we all like fighting games, all three of us. That's why I brought us here. We all have our different kind of fighting game interests here. Some of us prefer Marvel. Some of us prefer, but Marvel, I mean Marvel's Capcom. Some of us prefer Mortal Kombat. Some of us prefer Smash Brothers. Joey's a big Smash guy.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about all those. But first of all, I think it'd be really interesting to start off with like for each of us, what kind of fighting games do we prefer? So Daniel, why don't you start us off? It's been a while since we heard from you. What kind of fighting games do you prefer?
I like to play many different types of fighting games, and not every fighting game is the same. But if I had to choose what kind of style I like, it's more of the hyper fighting action kind of games. Like Marvel, Dragon Ball, Power Rangers Battle to the Grid. Basically, one of those fast paced tag fighting games.
Yes, and I really enjoyed those games too. I'm in the same vein, but we'll move on to Joy. But before we go, that Daniel, quick question: is it just
Yeah.
me, or is Ryu and Chun Li kind of OP in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid?
Um, I mean, Chun Li, I could definitely say, yeah. Like she's, it's like they took her from Marvel and then put her in Power Ranger. She's pretty good.
Oh yeah, she is. Ryu, I feel Ryu's up there because the amount of hits he can make and
Oh
combos
yeah,
too.
like I was labbing with Ryu and like holy shit, the damage you can do.
Oh dear lord. Anyways, Joy, so what kind of fighting games are you into?
I don't know. I guess I'm just sort of as long as there's like a character I can jive with, I'm usually down to play like any type of fighting game. Although I think I do sort of uh I guess I just prefer a bit more like grounded game. Uh like I guess Street Fighter potentially is like there, but usually like I'm willing to play like any fighting game as long as there's a character that I can be like,
Mhm.
okay, I like this character. I can jive with this.
Okay. I'm always been more of the 2D fighting kind of games. So games like Street Fighter, Killer Instinct, a little bit of Mortal Kombat. Even though I feel like the controls for that are really weird for me. But though, if it's like a 2D fighting game, and there's usually, and I've never played it, but if there's like a Shotokan character, like a Ryu character, then yeah, then I can pretty much figure out how to win or not win, but survive long enough. Because sometimes if they have special mechanics that I don't even understand. But yeah, so those are my kind of games. So one thing that I think we can go for starting off with this conversation is that why is it hard for some people to get into fighting games? And Daniel, we'll start off with you. Why do you think it's so hard for certain people?
Um, wow. I know we were just talking about it before. I don't know why my head went blank, but I guess the idea of combos can be hard for some people to get
Mm-hmm.
used to at first, because they're watching videos online and you're seeing these people, they do like 50 hit combos or something crazy like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, oh, I want to try to get into it, and so like they get in the game, they try pulling off those combos, and they're like, okay, I don't think I'm gonna get the most enjoyment out of this if I can't do all the cool things that other people are doing, which is pretty sad because most fighting games, even though combos are flashy, you don't really need to have to do combos to do win in anything in any fighting game.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you, and tell you anyone who's ever like wondered, like, yeah, I can't do those combos. I would often do combos in training mode that I can never pull off in an actual match online. Like I could,
Yeah,
as
that's
much
true
as I,
because like,
yeah, no,
oh
no,
yeah, I
yeah,
was saying like, yeah, like I mean, I would be in the same boat too. Like I'll practice trying to do a combo and it's awesome, but then you almost never I can do it in person because everything's all controlled in training mode. You
mm-hmm.
you have it set up to where you want to do the combo like that, but it's really hard to replicate that same situation again in a live fighting game.
Yeah, like we're talking about Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, because that's kind of like one of the new hot games right now, even though it's been out for a while. With the recent inclusion of Ryu, I did this like real cool like setup. You do quick jabs, uh, hurricane kick, level one special, and then end it with a level two special, and then that's pretty much good damage there. But whenever I try to do that online, I'm like, oh, he's blocking. I can't get in. Oh, I went in too hard. Oh, I'm out. Ryu's gone. There goes my best
Yeah.
character. But no, you're right. I think there is a bit of there's a flashiness to it that a lot of people, you know, see and they're like, yeah, I can't do that. I want to, but I can't do it. Joe, what do you think?
I think I definitely would agree with that. But I also think part of it is like, I guess, just sort of like, I think the I think honestly it's very much sort of a, since it's like sort of a 1v1 scenario, it's often like, I think people will often take their losses a lot harder than say in like a,
Mm,
in sort of a team based game, in terms of like competitive gaming or whatever. Like, when you lose, it's like that's on you, right? Or like you start to feel bad, like, oh, I just suck, kind of thing. But when you're like playing in like sort of a team game, you're sort of like, well, okay, I did all right, but my team sucks, you know.
mm-hmm.
Because I think like something like League is also kind of like, at least difficult to be good at. Because I mean, I've played a bit of League and I do okay. But clearly, whenever I face someone that has way more experience than I do, and it's like, okay, well, clearly this man, I can't do anything. I'm just walking in. I'm essentially feeding on completely on accident, because what am I supposed to do against this character? I've never faced this character before. Or you'll. So I think it's sort of a similar idea with at least fighting games of like some people will just try to play a game and like maybe do want to learn combos or do whatever, and then just play against someone and immediately see the difference in skill gaps. Like, well, I suck. I don't think I want to keep playing this game where I keep getting bodied every single time I play.
And I think that that's where I'm going to go with in my reason. I think what people have a hard time with fighting games, it's just there's a certain like skill gap. Like if you've never played, say, Street Fighter, right? And Street Fighter, yeah, it's like the most well-known fighting game. It's like the fighting game, really, for a lot of people. And you're new, and you go up against a guy who is played the game like for a very long time. Like this person knows the meta. He knows what characters to use. He knows which character is better with against which other character. And then if you go in blind and you're getting your butt kicked in a way where you kind of just don't want to play anymore. You just like there's too much. It's a skill gap. Like you don't know what you're doing. All you know is like buttons do certain things. You don't know how to do a Hadoken. You don't know how to do a Tatsumaki Senpuga. You don't know how to do any of those moves. And yet the other guy is able to do all these moves, combo into it, and you don't know what you're doing, and you're getting your butt kicked. I think that's one of the reasons why I feel like a lot of people can't get into fighting games because like there is a huge like learning curve that if you don't know how to do one thing, then you're just gonna get your butt kicked. Because I think that's why you know a lot of people have a hard time with fighting games and look at fighting games like that looks very complicated. I'm not gonna get into it. Plus, it's a lot of me learning how what the characters do. Now, I'm bringing up to you guys again. This is part of the conversation. We can all freely say what we want to say. Where do you think that you know where do you think that people can come in and start you know figuring out the best way to learn how to play the game? Because I think that's one of the big issues. Like people don't know how to play the game.
I guess in a way, whatever fighting game you pick, choose the character that you like and it feels right for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there's a character you like, and after you play with him for a little bit to get accustomed to it, if he's the character that you're gonna be comfortable with, good. Try to learn a little bit more about how to play with that character, and then the next step is pretty much just get body online a lot, because you can play story mode all you want, you can play arcade all you want, you could even get it all the way to the highest difficulty if you play it enough. But truly the best way to improve is to go ahead and go online and get your ass kicked, because that's where you're gonna learn experience. That's where you're gonna learn. Okay, I can't keep doing this over and over again. I'm getting predictable by doing that. And maybe if you meet a guy that's friendly online, he may give you some tips online as well, like how to do this, how to do that, and other things as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's good advice. Obviously, like you gotta learn like sort of the hard way and like improve.
It's like you're learning a real martial art.
I guess in a way, except like I guess in real life you kind of like have like a verbal agreement of like, okay, you just teach me how to do this stuff or whatever. Online, you don't really know what the other person's gonna be doing to you until
Mm-hmm.
it starts happening. It's like, oh dear God. But yeah, I think part of it, I think like for me, like as long like when I find a character that like I said that I jive with a lot,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I like what I can do with this character. I try to figure some stuff out, and if if the online isn't terrible or whatever, I'll go online and I obviously get my butt kicked. But there are moments where I'm sort of like, okay, I need to like definitely block more or just like figure out like, okay, why is this move doing why is this move he's throwing out doing this to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Certain things, because not to make another league comparison, but like that's sort of how I sort of had to learn in league,
Mm-hmm.
uh, especially in like a game mode called ARAM, which is basically just you get a random
Yeah.
character and you have to like it's just one lane, but you have to essentially just like if you it's a character. Most of the time, I have never played, so I'm just like, okay, what does this person's Q do? All right, Q. All right, okay. I mean, actually starting. Oh crap. And by halfway through the game, I kind of understand how to use my character, but I'm also just sort of like getting bodies essentially because I don't really know what's the most optimal time to
Mm-hmm.
do things.
And I think you both to your point that makes sense because like okay, so recently I've been playing Virtual Fighter 5, um, and I haven't played a lot of Virtual Fighter. I think I only played one Virtual Fighter game, and I just pressed random buttons. This time I try to learn how the game works. I was playing El Blaze because, of course, he's like Ram Stereo, and I'm like, yes. And so I started playing the game. I started learning how the moves work, and half of it was very confusing for me. But when I started going online, yes, I got myself bodied. But towards the end, I was like, okay, I'm slightly doing better. I at least know how to do like simple button combos, not actual like say like a quarter circle back kind of thing, but like I know okay, punch, punch, kick, kick, punch, punch, kick, block, that kind of stuff that I would be used to when I'm in Tekken. So, but I learned that through first getting bodied, and if you guys don't know what body means, we're saying like you're getting your butt ass kicked, like Daniel said. That's just the term we tend to use. Now, of course, I learned, I got better, and the more times I take those into account, I start learning how to get better. And we're saying that's the best way, but it's let's be honest, a lot of people are not going to take that to heart.
Yeah, that's why I feel like another sort of key aspect is that probably just makes it a lot easier, even though it's probably a lot harder to do,
Mm-hmm.
is to get some friends to play. Because at least,
Yeah,
when you're playing with friends, like potentially you're all at the same skill level. You all probably suck, and losing won't necessarily feel as bad,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still learn from each other.
Yeah, I mean, I mean that's kind of the beauty of the fighting game community too. Is like once you find people to hang out with, and say like locals for tournaments, you kind of start learning some stuff. You kind of start utilizing the stuff that you learn, talking to people who are a little more experienced, who are welcoming, and you kind of learn better. That's sort of a different topic in general that we highly recommend people doing, but some people won't be able to do that kind of stuff. Most of us would love to play online. Thankfully, we're getting rollback in most games, but that's again, it's a different conversation. But obviously, there's a certain skill gap issue because the way fighting games play, it's not as simple as a lot of people would like it to be. Like, I'm pretty sure. I think we mentioned him before. Corey Gaming's fantastic YouTube channel. All three of us have watched his content. Great content. He has a video about inputs, and if you don't know what inputs are, they're sort of the the weird button inputs to do certain things. So if you don't know, you've probably seen it whenever you go to like combo moves for a certain character. You see like directional movement certain way and certain button to do XYZ. If for all the Street Fighter nerds, half quarter circle forward or back, and depending on where you're at, and punch equals Hadoken. Quarter circle back, kick, Tatsumaku forward. Um, what was it? The Z? What's it called?
Yeah,
The
like
Z.
the Z input.
Like the Z input is the Dragon Punch, the
yeah,
short
the
you can.
Dragon Punch input.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, that's like that looks confusing. I don't know what that means. How does that work? And for me, it took me a while to really get it. I'll be honest. Like, I don't know about you guys. How long do you guys figure out how to do inputs?
I mean, like at least in terms of like those types of inputs, I mean, I think I remember as a kid it was definitely hard, but obviously once I actually decided to put some effort into like being like, okay, let me just actually try to see if I can actually learn how to do these instead of just like trying to like uh press the deep tab or like the control stick or whatever to like just to like get that motion or whatever. I mean, yeah, like it's definitely doable to learn. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not impossible if you're willing to put in the effort to like actually do it. Eventually, since a lot of fighting games sort of have carry those same inputs,
Mm-hmm.
eventually you're just gonna like
There's always like a Ryu or a Chun Li kind of character in a game.
yeah, you're always gonna find like some sort of like quarter circle, forward, back, a Z input,
Mm-hmm.
charge motions and stuff like that. But like, yeah, like like at least for me, it like once I actually started trying to do it seriously, or at least try to like like be able to do it like without having to
Mm-hmm.
look it up every single time. It took it wasn't that long, but yeah,
How about
yeah.
you, Daniel?
All right. So back with like, I was first introduced to Street Fighter with my cousin's Sega Genesis, and God knows I didn't do it because you couldn't pause the game and look up the move set. So I just pray to God, if I'm trying to do a cool move, it would happen. So I didn't really understood it. what motion inputs were until maybe later when Street Fighter 4 came out. When I paused the game and I see the move list, and I'm like, so that's how you do all that cool stuff. And later on, I practiced a bit with it. I will admit, like the Shoryuken was a bit, difficult for me at first, but after like playing the game for a while, I got the hang of it. So, and what made it even better is like when I found out that pretty much almost every character shares the same, motion input too. It blew my mind as well. I was like, holy shit, this isn't just for this one character. This could apply to multiple characters too.
Hmm. Yeah, no, the best way I learned to do Shoryuken input is like just walk and do a what the same motion you would do for Hadoken. Just walk forward, Hadoken, motion, punch, and that's it. I remember when I told that to Joey, he was like, "Oh, that makes it so much simpler."
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think I still sort of just keep doing the Z just
Yeah.
because I eventually got used to it.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's also like an easy like shortcut way of doing it.
Yeah.
Of just like because
Thank you, Max.
yeah, because you're already going forward,
Yeah.
so just having to like the games essentially the input the lenience has a lot of games have like a bit of a leniency. As
Mhm.
long as you get close enough, it'll
Yeah.
give it to you. So it's a pretty smart way of like gaming the system.
Yeah, but the reason I bring up the the inputs, the the special inputs and all that stuff is because like a lot of people, like I said, have a hard time with the controls because a lot of fighting games are not the same kind of game. Tekken is not the same as Street Fighter, and Street Fighter is not the same as Mortal Kombat, and Mortal Kombat is not the same as Smash Brothers, and Smash Brothers is not the same as any freaking anime fighting game.
Well, I mean, Smash
Yeah,
is
true, definitely. Especially when you take like two games that are very similar to each other, like Street Fighter and Killer Instinct. Yeah, like they have the same button layout, they play very similar, but they have very two different play styles of the game, and it's very different.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing that people sort of like have a hard time getting because like when it comes to a fighting game, they know it's a fighting game, but they don't know how most fighting games work. Like if you were to put me and Daniel in a room and you showed us a fighting game, chances are we would kind of recognize the kind of game it is and can pretty much figure out how what could possibly play. You put us in a room with Tekken, we'll figure out. We've played Tekken. We know how that's gonna work. If you put us
Yeah,
if you put us in a room and you introduce a Street Fighter, oh, we know how to do it. We know what to do. Like,
yeah,
go to Ryu. He's always there. Kind of stuff. But like that's kind of the thing I'm going with. Like a lot of people are sort of intimidated by the way the game plays and the way the game operates because Tekken is not the same. Like I said, Tekken's not the same as Street Fighter because Tekken is what would you define Tekken, a 2.5 fighter?
It's a 3D fighter.
It's okay, 3D fighter. Where did I get 2.5 from?
I don't know.
yeah.
was
Like,
off by-
well, like some people, you could if you make it a 2D fighter, you can, it in general, it is a 3D fighter since you can
Mm.
sidestep and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you have to think about the side steps. Um, how there's basically a block button sometimes. Virtual Fighter specifically.
Yeah. It's obviously I think the main difference is that 3D fighters essentially use a 3D arena in sense of like you can move in all kinds of different directions, while obviously like sort of the 2D fighters of like Street Fighter and a lot of other games like in Mortal Kombat and stuff are just like horizontal. You can only move back and forth. You can't like somehow like move to the side or whatever.
Nope. And your up is gonna be a punch, and your down is usually defense.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah. So like I think that's I mean that's where I'm going with. Like people don't know, and I'm not talking down. And it's like most people aren't gonna realize the difference between those kind of games. And I think that's why some developers nowadays are trying to like make it easier for people to get into this kind of games. Hopefully, leading into to get into other kind of games. I don't know. You think I'm right with that assumption?
A little bit, but I think in terms of trying to make I guess fighting games, or at least this fighting games, a bit easier to get into. I think some of that is also just in terms of like wanting to sell more copies because if you can tap into like a casual market to get a lot of money, I mean, and like obviously you're like you already struck a chord with a bit of a like I guess the hardcore FGC community and stuff. Uh, but if you want more, uh, uh, if you want more money, like these companies often like want to do, then yeah, they're gonna obviously try to at least like simplify a bit of the game in order to like appeal to a casual audience that doesn't necessarily that's always seen fighting games as a bit hard and see this game being like, oh, this looks slightly easier to get into. So yeah.
What do you think, Daniel?
Uh, I mean, I get that devs they want to make things easier for people to get into, but you know I don't really have a problem with it because in the end of the day, if the game is fun, it's fun. I still think just simplifying the game won't be as much help as they think it would. For example, like at Marvel 3, I mean, you have to pick two
Mhm.
assists and pick what type of assist, and then you got to learn about when to manage and switch out like the two like characters and everything. And then when you go to Marvel Infinite, everything's been simplified a bit, which makes things easier. I'll admit, but the thing is, in the end of the day, you'll have to put in the work and practice to get good at the game. Because even if you make everything simple and easy for people to learn, um, they need to learn how to get good by by playing the game, or else they won't get as far as they want.
Hmm. And I guess that's the thing. It's like with fighting games, it's just like if you wanna get good, you have we said it like we said this earlier. If you want to get good, you gotta get body. That's kind of the tragedy for some people because a lot of people just want to go in and have the fun, and for some people, it might be kind of hard to understand that getting bodied is kind of the fun.
Well, yeah, it's a necessary thing, and I feel like sometimes like people just don't realize how much they get bodied in other games.
Yeah.
Like, for example, I mean, like friggin' Fortnite, like, uh, like because you see all these freaking Fortnite kids building all these crazy structures and stuff. I think I remember I played it once, and I was like, oh, there's a guy. Oh, he's built like a 10-story wooden building. Hold on, how do I do that? So the thing is that, like, there's like other games have that sort of learning curve,
Mm-hmm.
but for whatever reason, I'm assuming, like, it seems like for some people, like something like Fortnite, which has that crazy learning curve, like you having to like build shit or whatever the fuck it is. It's sort of like, yeah, but at least I can pull a trigger and shoot people sometimes.
Yeah.
And I guess for people wanting to try to get into fighting games and sort of like, oh, I didn't even get to play it, or like I guess the common example being like in like a Marvel or like game or various or tag team fighting games where you just get like combo to death by various assists and
Mm.
tag ins and stuff, and it's like I didn't even get to press a button. He just killed my. I got touched one touch and I'm dead.
Okay. I'm gonna talk about the story. This is going back to Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. This is one guy. He quit in the middle of the match because, in his opinion, I kept juggling him in the corner. I wasn't really juggling him that much in the corner, really, to be honest. But he immediately saw that he was getting bodied, and he was like, "I'm out." And he literally sent me a message saying, like, you're one of the reasons why this game is no fun for a lot of people. You're the reason, like all that kind of stuff that you would associate
Scrap
with this.
quotes.
Yeah, yeah. Oh no, I felt the
Yeah.
salt. I felt the salt. I tasted the salt. And I'm just like, whatever, man. But we kept getting matched up for the past few matches, and he just kept quitting on me. And I'm just like, just take the L, man. Just take the L.
Yeah, that's gotta. Yeah, that's yeah. Sometimes you gotta take the L. I mean, I've played Street Fighter online, and
Mm-hmm.
there are moments where I get a bit of like, well, that's just like, why would you like I didn't even get to play that much, but I feel like I blame it more so on connection issues and stuff
Yeah.
because sometimes I get matched up and the connection is
Oh no,
it's
you've commented it on me. I'm like, I keep getting hit by Hadokens that I dodge.
it's yeah, it's just like, and obviously it's a different conversation for another day or whatever.
Mm.
But yeah, that's where I usually get my frustrations in something like Street Fighter.
Yeah, no,
Right.
I've gotten used to it because like there are moments in Killer Instinct, which is one of my favorite fighting games, like in a long time, and I just keep getting bodied. Like if you can look at my win loss record, I got a lot more losses than wins, but I'm not bothered by it because like half the time those are really close matches.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan? I know you got some losses in your belt.
Oh no, yeah, like definitely. I mean, like back when I was starting to get serious about like fighting games, like instead of just messing around, but actually going online and playing with people. I hated losing. I would always constantly lose, but that's just part of the process. So instead of course, I got salties, but I had to learn. I had to take these losses and learn from them in order to get better. And yeah, that's pretty much how I went through. Up now, yeah, I'll get pissed off sometimes, but I don't, message a player or anything. I just accept it, learn what I did wrong, and just improve from there.
Oh no, yeah, I the moment I started getting better, I am like legit happy, and like I said, sometimes getting body is kind of the fun of it. Like there was a recent match in the Power Rangers game where it was down to two characters left, one of my characters and the other guy, and there was a moment where like we're both like one hit away from like one combo at least away from death, and one of my one I was so proud of this moment. I was able to dodge this dude's uppercut and then insert my special Shoryuken, and I won that match. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, let's go. I'm so happy. I did it. It's a win. It's a legit win. And I was just so happy because I was like, for the last two matches, I was getting bodied. And now I'm like, I'm winning. And now I keep winning. Get bodied a couple times, but my win record's been going pretty up now. Thank you, Ryu. I like you much.
Yeah, I
Does
mean,
that mean I prefer Street Fighter more than anything else? Yes, it does, but I don't care.
yeah. But I think I don't know, like for the yeah, I guess for me, like there are moments in like Street Fighter Five playing online where the moments where I do get like solid connections and I actually have some pretty close matches. I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm down. Like I think I remember a match where I played against a Zangief and I was playing Sakura. And obviously, Zangief's whole thing is that he wants to get in and uh, grab you to death, you know. And
He's a grappler.
yeah. So I, it was actually kind of an interesting match because it was essentially because obviously he's going to be jumping a lot, and instead of doing what would usually do when someone tries to jump in on me, which is just sort of a regular sort of basic anti-air, which like crouching heavy punch. I actually was decided, you know what? Let's see what happens if because I actually started doing like actual just regular
Mm-hmm.
DPS and stuff, and it was working well. I mean, I lost against him eventually, but it was very much sort of like okay, this is a solid learning experience for me. Like I
Mm-hmm.
lost, but like looking at what I've done, like actually being able to pull off like dragon inputs uh, without messing them up against a jumping opponent, which is what usually you would want to do with a dragon input. It's like, all right, I actually did some pretty interesting stuff there. Uh, I guess another thing is just that like I've embraced the wake up ex DP sometimes. Like there were moments where like it was against a Laura player, and obviously her other like she's also a character that wants to get in and wants to do like command grabs and stuff like that. But I realized that since that's her game plan, it's like as soon as she knocks me down, I'm just gonna mash DP. If I have bar, I'm gonna mash EX DP, and it worked like 90% of the time. There were moments where like she backed off because the player realized he gonna DP out of this and hit me, and then I wouldn't do it because it's like, oh yeah, that's what.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely like experiences of like, okay, And I think that's sort of like I think the biggest thing. I think when it comes to like at least trying to get into fighting games is that you got to take the small victories
Mm-hmm.
of like, okay, yeah, sure, I didn't win, but I did do that DP pretty good. Like I actually got like a solid like hit there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's sort of like something you got to deal with because I think I deal because that's something I dealt with in League because
Talk
uh
about a lot of League today.
I mean, listen, I don't know, like, because I
Playing
feel
League
like
later?
no, because I feel like my experience with League is very much because I feel like League, like people like to say that it's easier to get into League than a fighting game, and I don't think that's the case
Mm-hmm.
usually because like you can't just like give someone League and they'll be like, oh, I understand how to play this game, right? No, because League is definitely, I feel like, way more complex than a fighting game where you just press some buttons and your character does stuff. Like League is all about like having to do team strats and various
Mm-hmm.
other things. Because like for me, League I play like I top lane usually, and I basically just do nothing in terms of like contributing. Because when I play with my friends, sometimes they're all in like a team fight or whatever, and I'm just in top lane just doing killing random minions, and that's sort of like how like the game works for me sometimes. So and like you can't just. And I feel like doing stuff like that or just saying it doesn't automatically mean like I feel like it's sort of
Yes.
a very sort of like weird comparison, but learning League is it's just sort of like you have so many different aspects you gotta like understand. You gotta figure out
Mm-hmm.
what items you gotta buy and stuff like that. And like you're not gonna like sometimes even when you do win, like there are moments where like, well, I feel like I did nothing except like keep going to top lane the entire time. But then like one of my friends would be like, yeah, but like you sort of distracted like them as well, because like since I would sometimes just keep on attacking while they were having a team fight that down there, or like they would have to like someone would have to break off and be like, all right, he's like pushing too far into this lane. We gotta like stop him, right? So I feel like it's very much in that lane of like I had to like learn to take those small victories. Like, okay, I feel like I didn't like contribute in team fights or
Mm-hmm.
did anything, but like I sort of kind of at least helped in the grand picture in terms of like
Mm-hmm.
pushing objectives and stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something uh you gotta like similarly do uh in a fighting game, especially if you're playing against somebody online or whatever, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, okay, I didn't like, do the combo I wanted to do, but at least I like blocked that mix up or whatever.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? Any fun body moments?
Oh shit. Yeah, I guess with Killer Instinct, I will play online and I would get my ass kicked a lot when I first started. And then, it's not a good feeling, but I would be nice and I'll say good game. And surprisingly, people they will say good game back to me and they will just give me advice. They'll just tell me that, hey, that's a -1 frame or, high technical stuff like that. Like you could do
Mm-hmm.
this on this when this happens, so on. And these people they just added me as a friend, and every once in a while if they're online I'll try to hit them up with a game, and then we will like practice with each other playing out fighting games online.
Oh man, dude, that's always the best. And you guys got brought me up to like a very interesting point to take. In that once you learn how to play a fighting game, like it all becomes easier. But later on, you have to figure out what kind of character you're using because like Zangief's a grappler, Ryu's a Shotokan, Chun-Li's a charge character, right?
Yeah, she has charge
Okay,
inputs.
so
Yeah, it's
that's
just charge.
yeah. Because I was like, is she charged? Like I
Yeah.
don't know why I question myself. I'm pretty sure she is. But yeah, no. Oftentimes, I think it's also like just with fighting games is that the reason I bring that up is because like half times fighting games are just a whole commitment issue. Like you have to commit to the idea of playing this character, whether or not you like him or not, or like you have to commit to the idea of like how this character plays. Like once you find out that that's the way that Zangief, like Joey was saying, like he likes to come in close. Oftentimes they would jump in, you have to figure out how to work with that sort of idea. And in my case with like say Killer Instinct, I kind of have to like learn to stop relying so much on the sweep because I like to play Omen, and he has this sort of sweep that helps you get in real close. But and oftentimes I use that too much to my disadvantage. So I started implementing more of his like little flying orbs and stuff, and then try to get close enough, and use his zoning methods. And by the way, if you guys, I should have said this earlier, if you're gonna hear us say a lot of terms and terminology that you have known nothing about, I apologize because that's the only way we can communicate through us with these kind of ideas. But yeah,
Actually, like there's
it's
actually a good website that you guys can look up, and while watching this podcast at the same time. There's this fighting game glossary that you can look up, and
yes,
you
I've
can
heard of
just
that
type
one.
in any term, and it'll tell you what it means. And not just for games as a whole, but for specific games in general as well. So, if we're talking about
Mhm.
Mortal Kombat, you can look into the terms we're talking about: Smash Brothers, Street Fighter, King of Fighters. You'll find it all there.
Oh yeah, I be sure to put like maybe a link down there. But anyways, like I said, there's gonna be moments where you have to you have to learn sort of the way each character is and how each character plays. Now, I'm not saying you're gonna go in and like actually play the character, but like if you know what this character is known for, then you pretty much figured out how this other character is known for. Because like what in Street Fighter Five, you got Zangief, Rainbow Mika, Alex. Who else is a grappler in that game?
I mean, Laura technically, but like she has a projectile that she
Yeah,
can pull off. I think you would.
Like, is
You,
Abigail a grappler?
that's what I was thinking. Is Abigail one?
I think so. Yeah, probably.
He looks like a grappler.
Yeah, yeah. Like
I
he's
mean, the guy's
definitely like
fucking big. He's bigger than Zangief.
yeah,
The man has tire irons around his arms.
yeah. He's definitely supposed to be the biggest character in that game. Yeah,
Good lord.
yeah, uh, yeah. But yeah, certain characters do fall into
Hmm.
various archetypes and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason I say this is that, like, because like I said, there's a lot to learn in a fighting game, but usually they all translate well, pretty, standardly. Controls wise, some of them you have to get used to because, like I said, 3D fighter is not the same as a 2D fighter. Tekken, Street Fighter, not the same. And sometimes you have games that are similar, but the controls are different because I can tell you right now, Mortal Kombat does not play like Street Fighter, and oftentimes that has hurt me in so many ways.
And yeah. Maybe because there aren't a whole lot of, at least in newer Mortal Kombat games, there aren't a whole lot of like, I guess, directional inputs and stuff. It's
Yeah,
usually just like a forward or a back, and then
mm,
like whatever button you need,
yeah.
attack button. Yeah.
But we're getting close to the 40-minute mark. I think we all mentioned like at least a good amount of stuff that why people have an issue with, and why possibly those are the issues that they have, and kind of like the way to walk around them. But let's talk about some games that people can probably start playing. That and like if you want to play into fighting games there and you don't know where to start, we're probably gonna start mentioning some games that you can start off with that aren't as difficult, but you'll be able to learn a little much. And Daniel, who I've known has played like a lot more fighting games than I have, he can probably tell you a lot of good games to start off with. So I mean, you got a list for us, Daniel. Go for it, buddy.
Let's see. I could name a few. One, it's gonna sound a little ridiculous because it's more of a joke game than an actual serious fighting game. It's called Dive Kick.
I do not blame you for mentioning that game because that game is a lot
Like
pretty good.
like the reason I would bring that up is because like one of the most important things in fighting games is that you need to learn about spacing, and you want to make sure you're not too far, you're not too close, but you're in the right amount of distance where you can get close enough to where you can hit your opponent. And in that game, you're only just jumping and diving, and I think that's probably a good game to learn about spacing.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I even don't have that issue with like Ryu. Sometimes like I forget that his little jab motion is really just like an up elbow kind of thing, so it doesn't
Yeah.
really like reach anywhere. And I'm like, God dang it, I forgot. And I often use that to like, for me, I use that to like test the range, see how close I am, or a crouching kick to see where that goes. But yeah, that's a good one. Actually, I agree with that statement.
I mean, I guess off the top of my head, While it's a game I haven't played, I have heard that it's basically meant to be sort of like a very sort of like easy fighting game to get into. Fantasy Strike, like it's sort of a very simplified fighting game. There's like I'm pretty sure there's no like crouching in that game. There's only like 3 or 4
There's
buttons.
no crouching in that game.
Yeah, like it's very simple to play. Like very a lot of it has a good amount of characters. All of them are very easy to play.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't played it mainly just because I'm just I kind of feel like I'm not part of that target demographic of
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I want to play a fighting game, but I don't really, I'm really scared about playing these other fighting games. Well, here's one that's like one that's free to play, so you can just easily get into it if you want to, and if you want to buy like skins or whatever, you can. uh, and it's very simple, but it still sort of has the fundamentals of a regular like 2D fighting game. Uh, so I mean, yeah, like, and it's even like I think crossplay too. So
Yeah.
it has a lot of good points to it. It just I think for me, it's just the art style just doesn't appeal to me.
See, I was gonna say something like, I know it's kind of a dead game, but I kind of want to see where they go with it. It's that game that Riot Games recently bought to so they can make their own fighting game.
Oh, what was it? Rising Thunder, right?
Yeah, no, that game, from what I understood, I haven't had a chance to play. I don't know if it's still is it still around?
I don't know. Like I heard something about it. Like I think they were bought out, and that game's no longer in service or something. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything from Rising
Yeah,
Thunder in forever.
Okay, so
I think it's like it's like there's like you can still play it. You have to find out where to download it though.
fair enough. If you find a way to play it, go for it, because like that's like a really simple, fighting game. Like you don't have to do any like directional inputs for that kind of game. It's just you just press one button and then it gives you your special move, I guess.
Yeah, that's also the thing with the Fantasy Strike. It also only has like one button specials as
Hmm.
well.
I
Uh,
would have also said early Power Rangers because the controls with that game is really simple.
yeah, I
I
mean,
mean, it still is.
Yeah, but then you go online and you're like getting juggled a lot.
well, I mean, you just gotta.
That's true, but like I would say that's a good point. Like right after well, I can't believe we were just talking about what was the name? Fantasy
Fantasy
Strike.
Strike. Yeah.
True,
Yeah,
true.
because it takes that, add a little more things that's more familiar to the genre, like crouching, aerial combos and all that kind of stuff. But what I think it would be a good game is that there's no like motion inputs or anything like that, so you don't have to do like a forward quarter circle, dragon punch input or anything like that. If you want to do like this one specific punch, all you gotta do is either like hold back, left, or something different like that.
Hmm.
I mean, no doubt they will get bodied online, but it's it's one of the more accessible ones that I could tell.
Yeah, I think you're right. No, we are trying to think about games that can avoid being bodied, but like honestly, you're gonna get bodied.
Like
Yeah, I mean,
That's part of it.
any
That's
game you
part of
could
the
get
game.
body in, like Smash Brothers, it's very easy. People play platformers before; they know how to hit A and B, but once they go online, they're gonna get their ass kicked.
well, I mean, also Smash Ultimate Online is just not that very
No, it's
great.
not there.
Is it? But yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
it's
no,
good.
but you know what I mean, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no.
But yeah, no, Smash as well. I think would be a good, like, I guess, entry point into playing a fighting game,
Hmm.
even if it is like very different from like any other like
Yeah, it's
games in
its
the
own
genre.
category technically.
Yeah. But like if you like, it's still a lot of like I guess the fundamental ideas from fighting games. Like sort of like spacing, getting like
Hmm.
frame data and stuff like that. Just sort of like and even like reliance on combos and stuff are all still there in Smash. It's just that it's obviously like it's worded differently and stuff, or
Hmm.
rather, you're meant to play it differently, but it's still all in that sequence.
Hmm. I mean, I would also throw in. I mean, I know it's my favorite fighting game, but also there's a level of tutorial accessibility, and it's probably one of the games you should probably go in and learn how each character works. Probably Killer Instinct. And don't, yeah, here's another one you're gonna get bodied in, but like once you have a understanding of most of the characters, of a good chunk of the characters, you kind of get most of them.
I
Like
mean, isn't it also like technically free to play as well?
that's also free to play. Yeah, I mean you only get one
Yeah,
character, but like it's a rotating one, so you can probably just learn it from that character and see. Once you find a character you like, you just buy that one character, or you can just buy the whole game and you'll find them all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
yeah, like that. Like
it's
that would be a good fighting game too, because the tutorials they're actually really go in depth about like starting combos,
mm-hmm.
doing doubles, enders.
Yeah, no, it's surprisingly well detailed. And obviously, there's gonna be like games that are gonna come out soon that we're all excited for. King of Fighters 15, you know, that got delayed
Hmm.
as of this recording. I'm still looking forward to it. Terry looks awesome.
Yeah.
I doubt Rock Howard's gonna be in it, but I would like to play Rock Howard.
I mean, shatter your expectations. Am I right?
Yeah,
I
nothing
mean,
wrong with that.
yeah, I mean, like we got a Metal Slug stage, so maybe we can get Team Metal Slug.
Technically, that team is already Team Metal Slug. They got a Metal Slug stage for them.
I
No,
mean,
no,
wait,
okay.
No, like I think you're gonna get mixed up with the Akari Warriors for Team Akari.
Fair enough. You know, there's always Dragon Ball Fighters, but I feel like even that one has a bit of a, that's a lot to learn from that game.
I feel like also as well, there's a lot of like season passes that you got to pay for as well.
Yeah, I would say don't
Hmm.
get into anime fighting games until like you're really getting into fighting games at that point.
Yeah, I feel like Dragon Ball is definitely one of the easier like anime fighting games.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, yeah. If you're trying to get into anime fighting games, I would recommend either Dragon Ball Fighters or Persona 4 Arena, because they made a game tailored for like the RPG fans to get into the
Mm.
fighting games
Hey, what
that
about
originally came
that
from.
Granblue?
Yeah, Granblue Fantasy versus I like honestly like in theory it's definitely like a good like beginning fighting game because it's kind of like the best of both worlds where you do like it has both regular like motion inputs but you can also have it just has a special button and
Mm.
whatever direction you push it doesn't move something similar to like Smash. There's even like a block button
Mm.
where you don't have to hold back, you can just press the block button and you'll
Mm.
block. Like it has elements of that and it still keeps it balanced because if you do like the special button and like a direction, like the special button inputs and
Mm.
stuff, there's like a cooldown for it. But you can get a faster cooldown if you just do like a motion input,
Oh, so basically, like it encourages you to learn motion.
yeah, and that's sort of like the thing about it that I like in terms of like that like encourages people who are new to fighting games to actually attempt to do these things to get a bit of an edge and stuff. Although obviously, I think the big downside is that is just price point wise. There's like 2 season passes. They're both like $30. Like I think I got the game when it was like barely on sale to just make buying it and the first season pass a lot easier. But yeah, like on the one hand, I would definitely say check it out, but at the same time, just the amount of money you're gonna have to put out just to get all the current characters available it's asking a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like unless you really want to start getting into fighting games, then go for it. But if you're just sort of like I don't know if I'll like this or not, then I can't like recommend spending that much money on it.
Fair enough. I will say Arc System Works is really putting a lot of fighting games out because supposedly they're making the My Hero fighting game.
I mean, that sounds interesting.
This is the first time hearing about it. Is this like a rumor right now?
It's a rumor.
Okay, because I remember there was a rumor there French Bread. I think they were the guys that made Uni.
Yeah.
They were supposedly making a JoJo game, but that was just a rumor too.
Ooh.
I'd be down
Yeah,
for
this
that.
was a while back though, like a year or two ago. So I'm
I
pretty
mean,
sure
they're
that was just a
making
fake
that.
rumor.
What is it? That
Melty Blood?
yeah, they're making that new Melty Blood game, which I think the only reason why I'm kind of interested is because apparently it has rollback, which I'm like, okay, I'm tempted to play this because I have played. I recently got Uniclear, Unwritten
Mm.
Birth, and I will say I do like it. You know, like I actually do sort of like I kind of get why people like this game, and it actually has a pretty solid tutorial. I won't lie. It even mentions that thing with the quarter circle,
Yeah.
like doing the dragon input, but just moving forward and then doing a quarter circle, which I thought, hey, that's actually kind of cool for a game itself to be like, there's a bit of a cheat code way of doing this, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of like crazy if I guess French bed making a JoJo game. But yeah, no, I think that's a whole lot of fighting games recommendations we put out, haven't we?
Oh yeah. And I mean, there's always gonna be a fighting game for everybody. Some people really enjoy Skullgirls. Some people enjoy them fighting herds. Whatever kind of fighting game there is. Punch Planet, I heard, is getting an update or something.
I don't know.
Like I think
haven't-
that was in early access.
Okay. Yeah. Then a lot of other stuff. There's the fighting game world is very unique and expansive, and there's always a fighting game for someone somewhere out there. I mean, people are enjoying a Sailor Moon fighting game. I don't know how, and apparently it's a really broken game.
Yeah, I've heard of this. It's a little weird. I mean, like, I think if you can make a fighting game out of anything,
Yeah.
really. And I think at the end of the day, like, honestly, like, if someone really wants to get into a fighting game, as long as it like looks interesting to them, then go for it, right?
Mm,
Like if you're like, oh, I just really like, maybe I should just go with Street Fighter, like, then yeah, then get Street Fighter, especially since there's like a champion, the champion edition and stuff like that. You'll get like I think all the characters and stuff.
mm,
You know, like if you see like a fighting game, and I think this is just more or less advice for any type of game, really. Like if you see a game that that looks interesting to you, or you like the look or the aesthetic of it, try it out.
Yeah, no, that's for a lot of people when it came to like fighters, because I know a lot of people who never played a fighting game went into fighters and they're like, "Oh wow, this is amazing," and some are like, "I don't know, I don't like this that much," kind of stuff. The fighters, Dragon Ball Fighters, sorry, is one of those kind of games I've seen. I know a lot of people really like the Marvel vs. Capcom games. I'm really hoping for another one, please, for the little god Capcom. We'll see. But there's like I said, Joyce said, there's a fighting game for everybody. If it interests you, then go for it. I mean, I like Killer Instinct because it was like a '90s thing I remember as a kid, and I was like, oh, this game looks like fun. Oh, here we go. There's that old sound, the old Ultra Combo sound. Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And looking at King of Fighters 15, which is like already like a great looking game compared to the last one.
I mean, everybody agrees with that.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's only going up when it comes to KOF 14's design or
Yeah.
like graphics.
You can only go up.
Yeah.
Going down is a problem. But anyways, I think that's a good place to end it. Daniel, you got something else to say? Joey?
No.
No? All right. So thank you guys for taking
SNK, if you're watching, please bring back Angel.
Shatter your expectations, Daniel.
Listen,
Maybe.
if you really want to shatter my expectations, Garo, Mark of the Wolves 2.
Team Garo, that's all you're gonna get.
Fair enough. That would actually be pretty badass. A Team Garo. What would it be? It would be Rock Howard.
Yeah.
Who else?
I don't really
mean,
know.
Gato, probably?
If that was going to be a thing, you gotta have Terry in that team since Terry raised Rock Howard
Yeah.
after killing his dad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, his dad was a piece of shit. No, listen, if Rock is okay with Terry, we're fine. But who knows? Maybe Street Fighter 6 will be out.
I mean, yeah, like hopefully. I mean, that's probably coming out in the next 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 years.
So
Hey,
hopefully.
you know what? If we don't get a Marvel's Capcom game, can we get a Capcom versus SNK?
I mean, but I mean that'd
I'd
be
be
kind
okay
of
with that.
Yeah,
I would like to see like a Marvel versus collection, like go all the way from X-Men, Children to the Atom, then to X-Men Street Fighter, then Marvel versus Street Fighter, to now.
They all have to have rollback. That's all I need.
That would be nice.
Yeah. Imagine it. Marvel's Capcom 2 with rollback. I mean, it's already been out, but
Yeah, technically, yeah.
Yeah.
You just get bring the 360 PS3 version back.
Yeah, that's all we need.
Mm-hmm.
Plays like it wasn't Dreamcast because that's the best one apparently.
Yeah, I guess.
Anyways, we are rambling now. That's how you know we. But no, it's a like I say. I hope everyone who's listening at least wants to. I hope we were able to address a lot of the reasons why people just can't get into fighting games, and hopefully also bring in reasons as to why you should probably check out fighting games, because really fighting games. And me and Daniel, we did this before and talking about the fighting game community, which I highly recommend. That's probably one of our more heavily talked about, heavily researched ones to bring up. But the fighting game community in of itself is probably one of the more welcoming things that I've been a part of. I can go back and forth and talk about people who have helped me get better at the game, the joys of watching the game pro plays and all that kind of stuff, understanding the game. So hopefully anyone who's out there listening to this is able to get that. And if you are, please let us know through social media. We have a Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We're most likely active on Instagram, which you can all find it under at the Geek Centurions. And if you go, like I said, Instagram, we are the most active there at the Geek Centurions. There's a link tree to all of our podcasts, all the podcasting sites that we are currently, confirmed for, which is basically a lot of them, like Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, all that kind of stuff. Also, there is a link to our YouTube where you can, put a face to the sound for all you audio listeners out there. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff that we kind of associate YouTube with. And we also have a Patreon where you can support us in any form of way. And we're not forcing anyone. If you can, you can. If you can, you can. It's fine. It's no problem with that. We'll still be able to produce a lot of the content that we make here. And yeah, guys. Hopefully, everyone out there is more intrigued with fighting games. We are always happy to talk about fighting games. We don't. You just heard us rambling about possibility of who could be in KOF 15, how much we want a Marvel's Capcom 4, or maybe something continuing with Infinite because Infinite was not that bad of a game. Me and Daniel will fight you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all that kind of stuff. But hopefully, you guys, hopefully, we're able to, help you guys understand more. But if you can't if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine. I'm not that now not to Dark Souls games, and I'm not hurting anybody.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you're gonna play what you like.
Yeah, I get it. Some people can't handle fighting games, but if you're able to
Yeah.
at least try
I mean,
it,
who knows? I mean, who knows? You're probably just into like watching them, seeing how good they are.
mm-hmm.
You just prefer to be the spectator than the player.
Yeah, no
Very
problem
true.
with that. No
Yeah.
problem with that. Because I can't make it to top level Smash for games. I will never be the same level as MKLeo. But anyways, that's a good point to end it on. Thank you guys for listening to us. We are happy for you guys to check us out. It's been your boy Eli.
Jimmy Joe.
It's me, Daniel.
And we're the Geek Centurions. Hope you guys have a good one. Peace.